While speaking with reporters at the NFL owners' meetings on Monday, the Colts head coach Shane Steichen spoke about the quarterback competition between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. It'll start in the spring. They're going to split the starting reps through spring practice and going into training camp. Really, it's going to come down to who's the most consistent and who's the most productive. He will be the starter. There'll be a good competition between Jones and Richardson. So, who will be the week one starter for the Colts, Nate? That's what it all comes down to. Who's it going to be?
I've said this now for months. In fact, I've probably said it for over a year. Anthony Richardson, as it currently stands, is not an effective starting quarterback in the NFL. And I think when the GM Chris Ballard said that they want to have an open competition between Richardson and a veteran quarterback, I said it could be Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones. It doesn't matter. He's going to lose because he can't complete a pass. And we take a look at Steichen's quote again. Let's bring it up. We talk about consistency. We talk about come down to who's the most productive. Well, in terms of production, if you like high-flying Madden plays that happen every other throw maybe, or hell, only 58% of the time he even completes a pass, well, then you go with Anthony Richardson. But if you want a guy who can complete more than 58% of his throws, well, then you're looking at Daniel Jones, because during his time with the New York Giants, when they won that playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings, that entire 2022 season, it was effectiveness from Daniel Jones, efficiency from Daniel Jones, and help with the running game with Saquon Barkley. And what do the Colts have currently? Well, they have Daniel Jones versus Anthony Richardson. So the quarterback situation, let's just say for this argument, Daniel Jones wins. Well, let's take a look at some of the things that Daniel Jones didn't have or had with the Giants in 2022 versus what the Colts have currently. Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. So effective running games. You could say that both those running backs are very, very effective at what they do, which should obviously help Daniel Jones a lot. You could argue that Daniel Jones on the Colts has more help than he did, at least when it comes to wide receivers and tight ends, than he did with the New York Giants back in 2022. I think Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, A.D. Mitchell, those are all Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce had the most yards per catch last year. You know why? Because all of his catches were 20-yard bombs from Anthony Richardson. So I think you have a deep ball guy, Josh Downs, who's a very effective wide receiver. Michael Pittman, as long as he stays healthy, could be a nice piece. And then A.D. Mitchell could be productive. I think right now, 4 weapons for Daniel Jones is looking pretty damn good. Meanwhile, Anthony Richardson with those weapons, turns out he can barely complete a pass. So if we're talking strictly on production and consistency, that is Daniel Jones. Because when he actually had some time in the pocket, when he had a weapon at least in the backfield, because you could argue he didn't really have weapons out wide, when he had a level of competency offensively, well, made him a playoff team. The defense ended up beating Lamar Jackson at one point, which at the time was his only NFC loss. Until this season, actually, with Jalen Hurts beating him in the regular season. So I think when it comes down to it, I think Daniel Jones will be the starter. I think that he'll earn it actually pretty quickly in training camp, in the OTAs and whatnot. I think that it won't be much of a competition, because if we're just taking a look at the brass tacks of it all, what can Daniel Jones do, and what does Anthony Richardson struggle with? Completing passes. You could design the best play possible. Shane Steichen can drop the absolute perfect play, a cheat code play in the NFL. But if Anthony Richardson can't get it to the guy, if he can't be accurate with the football and throw it on time and complete a pass, then that play goes to waste. I think Daniel Jones, with some time, with a weapon, with an effective running game, could be decent. Now, when it's all said and done, will the Colts be a Super Bowl contender? No. Will they be a serious AFC contender? No. Will they maybe cause some trouble with the Houston Texans, who currently don't have a stable offensive line or efficient running game? Yeah, I think you can cause some trouble, but the AFC South is the worst division in football. So, I don't know how much that really says about, where the Colts are going, but are they a serious AFC threat? No. Are they a Super Bowl contender? No. Can Daniel Jones win the job, and I think win it pretty easily? I can't believe I'm the one saying this, but yes, I do think Daniel Jones relatively easily could beat out Anthony Richardson for the Colts starting quarterback job.
I tend to agree with you. I think this is a very smart move by the Colts. Not just because they're putting this competition out there between the two quarterbacks, and I do think they won't say who the starter is right up until the end of the preseason, because this has got interest. People are interested in it. It's a marketing thing for them. for a team the Colts, nobody talks about the Colts. Who talks about them? No one, right? The last 3-4 seasons, and since Andrew Luck has left them, you don't hear much about the Colts because they haven't been very good, right? I think they have a decent coach. I do think that Steichen is a good coach. He's gotten a lot of mileage out of it and was in playoff contention with a very poor quarterback play this past season. If he could just get decent quarterback play, he might be a playoff contender. But nobody talks about the Colts. So to have this competition, everybody's going to be watching every play. They're going to be analyzing it. It's going to be something that's talked about all the way up until the beginning of the season. So I don't think they'll name a starting quarterback until right up until the beginning of the season. But I think it will become pretty clear who the starting quarterback is going to be, because I agree with you. Anthony Richardson is not ready to be the starting quarterback. And as I said earlier the year when he was being criticized and they were getting impatient with him, he was still a rookie because he only played 4 games in his first year before he got hurt and had to sit out the rest of the season. So this was kind of his first season, a little bit extended. And it showed. I mean, he did not play well, but he didn't help his case at all by saying, you know what, I'm too tired to be out there. I mean, that to me, I can't believe. I don't think anybody's ever said that. And that was something that really rubbed the Colts the wrong way, and rightfully so. So I think Richardson won't have a leg up on the competition in this competition with Daniel Jones. They're going to split the reps. Ballard, the GM, said that they would bring in real competition for Richardson, who had struggled to stay healthy and has been inconsistent when he played. Familiarity with the offense should give Richardson an edge, but I think it will come down to the execution and production at each phase before Steichen selects a starter. I think it makes sense for a true competition to last throughout the training camp and through the preseason, not only because it gives each quarterback a fair opportunity, but also because it's being very well followed by all fans and other NFL teams. I think we'll hear a lot about it throughout the preseason. We'll be talking about it for sure. Jones had a disappointing 2024 season leading to his mid-year release. Richardson, the 4th overall pick 2 years ago, has struggled to meet expectations. Jones is on a 1-year deal, so it's a make-or-break season for him. Richardson can Richardson emerge as a franchise quarterback? That's a big question mark here. Can Jones reignite his career and regain the starting status? It's a pivotal moment for both players to redefine their trajectories and impact the Colts' future direction.
Well, let's bring out some numbers, because I could talk about, you can't complete a pass. Or, I could say that all day and every day, and it's true. But let's talk about the history of the NFL, because there is some data out there that backs up my claim. So Anthony Richardson is 305th out of 372 quarterbacks in completion percentage for players who started 2+ seasons and have at least 15 starts. 305th out of 372. Not a great example of good quarterback play. What about just last year? Let's narrow it down a little bit. So last year's 47.7% completion percentage is ranked 207th out of 221 players who've played 2 years and have at least 11 starts in a singular season.
Yeah.
So
it's bad. It's
very bad. And in fact, he's already missed a full season of games due to injury. And also for sitting out and being benched.
Yeah.
So he's played, 15 games in his career out of, 32, I think, or something like that? I mean, we're calling this guy a starting quarterback in the NFL. No, he was a raw quarterback in a project. I can understand
on
that.
The Colts, I would say, when they drafted him, they said, we understand he hasn't played that much football. It's like a Trey Lance situation. Exactly. He hasn't played that much football. We're going to be patient. We're going to be patient. Okay, well, he played the first 4 games, got hurt, was out the rest of the season. They were patient then. He started the second year, played most of the season, got benched once, came back in, played a little bit better. And they're still unhappy, and now they've lost their patience, and they're bringing in the competition for him. So they weren't very patient. Maybe he's a type of quarterback like Geno Smith. It takes him a while to get going, and later in his career he'll be better. But right now he's been lousy. The Colts aren't willing to be patient, so they're going this route.
The issue with that Geno Smith or even the Sam Darnold, or you take a look at other quarterbacks, the Baker Mayfields of the world, where they find success in other places, is they were at least somewhat accurate. They weren't completing all their passes, but you could take a look at the situations and look at, well, the Jets were an abomination with Adam Gase as their head coach, who was probably there for 2 years too long. So that's an issue. And also the rosters were terrible. When it came to quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, the lights were a little bit too bright. He was in commercials. He wasn't focusing. OBJ's dad was telling him to force feed OBJ consistently. That was a big thing. There was controversy there. When it comes to Richardson, his roster doesn't suck. He has weapons around him. He has a very good running back. He has a couple of very good wideouts. So it's nothing like that. He just can't complete a pass. That's the issue. And on top of that, his athleticism is a massive plus. If he was a pocket passer putting up these numbers, there would not be a competition. They'd be bringing in someone to replace him.
Yeah.
That's what that is. If he had minimal mobility and minimal athleticism and was a pocket passer, the Daniel Jones move, or hell, Aaron Rodgers might be a part of this conversation. Kirk Cousins might have been here instead. Russell Wilson may have gone here. But if he had little to no mobility, there would not be, okay, we're going to have a competition. Here is your replacement.
Mm-hmm.
Sit behind him and learn.
Yeah.
But because he has his mobility, that's the plus he has. There's one issue with that, moving on to greener pastures. That mobility is a curve. It's going to fall off. You're not going to be able to keep your mobility in 7-8 years at the same level you are now, on top of the fact that your injuries came from you running out of the pocket, coming from you being mobile and being a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, I have another thought here.
Yeah.
I think it's a smart move by Daniel Jones to take on this competition. Where else would he have the opportunity to really be the starter?
The Vikings, but it wouldn't be a
the
legitimate
Vikings.
shot.
It wouldn't be a legitimate thing really for him. They would be looking immediately to move him as a bridge quarterback and bring McCarthy in. So he saw that. He made the right move, and I think if he does do well, and he does get the starting job, and the Colts play well, what does it say about the Giants? What does it say about the coaching that he had there when he was with the Giants? It will say they blew it.
Well,
and they did. They have blown it on a number of different areas. So with the Saquon Barkley, they blew it. They blew it with the contract situation with Daniel Jones. They should have given him the franchise tag and given the contract to Barkley, and they'd still have him. And who knows? They might have played better. They might have won a few more games with Barkley running the ball back there. Look what he did last year. He gained the most yards in NFL history over the whole season.
Yeah.
So the Giants could be exposed here if Daniel Jones winds up being a serviceable quarterback who can lead the Colts to at least playoff contention.
I'll say the Daniel Jones and the Giants thing, some of it was very self-inflicted. I mean, we opened up the season, he couldn't see the field. I mean, that first game against Minnesota, I don't know if I had the clip when we covered week 1, when we covered this game, but Wan'Dale Robinson was open. Malik Neighbors was open at times. He just couldn't see the field. And in preseason, he threw 2 picks to the Houston Texans. I mean, it was just ugly, ugly play. And they did pay him. They didn't screw. They did pay him. It's just he was the wrong guy to get paid.
Yeah.
So that's on Joe Shane. That's on.
We'll see a new offense,
practice.
a different coach. Who Steichen, I think, is a very good coach.
I agree.
We'll see if Daniel Jones flourishes in this offense and with the Colts. It will have a bad. Will say something bad about the Giants to me.
Well, here's my question: what's good? If you said if Daniel Jones plays well, define
didn't they win? They won 8 games last year.
They
won 8 games with Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco. Flacco, I was surprised, didn't really step up. He could have kept the starting job.
But a number of those games were very much on the back of Jonathan Taylor barreling through guys.
Yeah.
So again, define good.
All he's got to do, I would say, 2 more wins, right? Get to 10 wins.
So not numbers-wise, but more so just putting wins up on the board.
Sure, that's what it's all about in the NFL, is whether you win or lose. You got to get to the playoffs. If they won 10 games, they probably have a shot at getting in. So that's 2 more games with a quarterback who I do think is better than Richardson. I think all he has to do is manage the game. He doesn't have to do anything too dramatic. He's a dink and dunker. Whether they adopt that for him, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Richardson's the opposite of that.
Just the opposite. So I don't know what they're going to do there. I think the dink and dunk would be a better move for them because they have the great running back. So we'll see.
Give me Daniel Jones. Starter, Colts,
That's
2025.
so amazing to hear you say that.
I know.
That's just what the NFL is like. You never know what's going to happen.
All right, but
you never know.
That's the thing. I can say
Your
Daniel Jones is a
opinion-
bad quarterback, but then you say, hey, compare him to Anthony Richardson. I'm like, well, he's better than that.
Yeah.
He's better than Anthony Richardson. So, hell, he's a good quarterback.
What do you think the
compared to
Colts'
that.
record will be next year if Daniel Jones is the starter the whole year?
Let's take a look at the strength of schedule here. Let's see how. So they have a relatively easy schedule, the 25th hardest in the NFL. They
Okay.
play 8 teams with a winning record in 2024, and they
Go down
They
through
play
the teams.
seven playoff teams. Well, I don't have it up. Yeah, give me a second here. So the Colts for 2025, they play. Let's bring it up, just
Okay.
just because I'm assuming that you're gonna do this list.
Yeah.
At Houston,
Loss.
versus Houston.
Wait.
So home against Houston.
Home again. The first game
The
of the
schedule's
season.
not out. These are just the opponents.
Okay. Yeah.
Schedule's not out. Schedule comes out in May. So at Houston's a loss versus Houston. So at home against
I
Houston.
think they'll split with them. If
Wow.
no, I think they'll lose both of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Versus Jacksonville.
They'll win.
Versus Tennessee.
Win.
Versus Denver.
Loss.
Versus the Raiders.
Win.
Versus the Cardinals.
Win.
Versus the 49ers.
Loss.
Versus the Dolphins.
Win.
You got them at 5-4 right now.
Uh-huh.
Versus the Falcons.
Win.
You have no faith in Michael Penix. At Jacksonville.
Win.
My God. At Chiefs.
Loss.
At Chargers.
Loss.
At Rams.
A loss.
At Steelers.
Loss.
At Seahawks.
I'd say a win.
And then finally at Titans.
Win.
Have them going 9-8.
9-8. Well.
So he wins one more game.
Okay. So who are the ones I had losses to?
I didn't write
Oh,
down
you
who.
didn't write them down.
The Texans, you have them sweeping.
Maybe they split with the Texans and that because the 10 wins at home.
Actually, no, that wouldn't be surprising. That wouldn't be surprising. I just expect Houston to be better. Tank
Yeah.
Dell's dealing with his shattered kneecap.
Their
I'm
wide
pretty sure.
receiver, they don't have Stephon Diggs coming back.
That's
they
true.
Don't, they don't
Well,
have
they're doing
Tank
the
Dell
Patriots.
was hurt badly. Did they have anyone to protect Collins? No. So that could be a problem for them.
That's interesting. All right, we'll see. 9-8 you have them right now, which is a win better than they had last year. But
give them
if
a
you say
split
the
with
split with the Houston
10-7.
Texans, 10-7 with Daniel.
With Daniel Jones starting.
Now, here's my question. Does that change with Richardson starting? I don't want to go through the whole schedule again.
Yeah, I don't think they get to 10 wins.
So what? Could this be?
I think they'd be back maybe 8-9 like they were last year. Something like that. It's
Okay.
a 2-win swing, I think.
Very interesting. Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching this clip of the Harvey Hour. If you want to watch the full show, you can by clicking the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to take the show with you on the go, it is available wherever you get your podcast. We go live here on YouTube every single Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a video and whenever we go live.